Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Well Hades. We welcome you on this show on this evening. We're glad to have you here. We also have our special guest on today, Miss Diana Singleton, but I'm Jan.
Hi, I'm Brandy. Welcome to Well Hades. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, yes, so glad to have you here. And again, we have our special guest today, Mrs. Diana Singleton. She is a licensed family and marriage therapist and has many years of expertise. And we're just been she's been a longtime friend, known for a long time. So we're grateful to have her with us. We know that Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and many people are celebrating love. But there are some people who are still in the process or in the throes of going through a relational break, whether it's a divorce, whether it's through death, or any other a boyfriend girlfriend kind of breakup. And so we want to be able to talk with Ms. Diana and get some great tools and tips on how to manage and overcome stress during this difficult season. So, Diana, if you'd like to take the time and introduce yourself and just let us know a little bit more.
Sure. Let's see.
My gosh.
So
Can you hear me now? Oh my
can
goodness.
someone let us know if you can hear us?
Can you hear me
please?
now? Oh my gosh, I hope I haven't been.
Unmute us.
Yeah, it says there is no sound.
Now mine says mute on here. Unmute. Can you hear me? Can you all hear us? Can someone type in the comments if you can hear us, please? No sound at all? It says can't hear you. Oh, yes, I can hear you. Okay. Okay, so can you hear Diana? Okay. Yes,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh my goodness. Sandra, you can hear all three of us. Is that correct, Elder Bailey? Yes. Yes. I can hear.
Oh.
Yes, she says yes.
Yes, okay, awesome.
Thank you. She will take the floor.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to remember.
Yes, we were actually, we may have to, I don't know, we may have to ask the questions again if they were not able to hear from the beginning, but we'll go ahead and start where we were at about the, I know you were talking about, yes, the in-laws.
The in-laws. So Jan, when you asked the question about after there's a divorce or a death, do you stay connected to the in-laws? I think it really has to do with what kind of, and I do feel like this is important, you're creating and forging a new relationship, right, with those in-laws. Are they going to be respectful? Do they want a relationship with you? Are they kind to you? Are they compassionate? Are they understanding? And I think it kind of goes on a case-by-case basis. I was saying that I do a disclaimer quite a bit when I talk about, I was saying my undergrad's in social work, my master's is in marriage and family therapy from Christian Theological Seminary. And I decided to get my degree in marriage and family therapy because I value family. So family is very important. So if we can stay connected, as long as those relationships don't do us harm, I really strongly advocate connection over cutoff. Because there's a lot of research that shows the more connected we are to family, to friends, to church, to others, to in-laws, if it's safe. As long as it's safe.
Yes.
I'm not kind of being emotionally excited. Definitely physically excited. But
Yes.
I'm really kind of being emotionally.
Yes.
Yes. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I thought that was really good. And if you don't mind, going back again and just giving us the difference between grieving over a death versus grieving over a divorce for those who are having difficulty hearing us.
So I just had mentioned that, in a graduate level course I took in divorce and remarriage, when I was first learning about this, I was very surprised when the professor said that for many people, they report more difficulty grieving a divorce than a death. And that was pretty shocking to me because obviously a death, it seems like it would be so much harder, right? However, there's the finality of death. Often it's due to illness, accident, whatever, the death. But when there's a divorce, the people have decided, and maybe not both people are in agreement, that it's not working anymore, but they're still here, and we just can't make it work. And it would be so painful. All the what ifs, what if I would have done it different? Or just the hurt is just constantly scraped open. Like Jamie said, kind of running into the grocery store, in the library, or wherever, just the car, driving. If you share children, you have to see each other. It just can be very painful because you can really break yourself over the coals about the failures and the loss of the marriage and feel so much more guilt.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. And so, what healthy coping mechanisms or tools would you recommend for anyone after a breakup or a divorce?
So, we were talking a little bit about it, if the folk could hear this when we were talking. But one of the things is about doing grieving in community. So there's a number of support groups, and doesn't have to be a formal support group, but although if you go to a grief support group that's specific, like divorce care, there's a program called divorce care, and there's a group called Grief Share, and I'm actually starting that at the church where my office is located at 71st and Shaden. So we're going to have a Grief Share, and that is for grief due to death, loss due to death. So there's a number of structured programs. It does help, like when we were talking about the stages of grief.
Yes.
I cannot tell you how many times people have shared with me, they are so judgmental of their own grief process. First, they don't know it's grief, and they're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't get outside. I can't get my makeup on, I can't get outside. I don't know what's wrong with me. If there's nothing wrong with you, you're going through a major transition, and you have to learn to be kind and gentle with yourself and understand your process and accept your process. So part of understanding the process, when you move through the grief stages, that's a part of it. And getting support, and then also identifying, what do I need through this transition? What is it that I need? So a lot of times I see people, they decide, I've always wanted to get involved in something, or I'm going to get back to a hobby that I used to do. Like, I need to do something to kind of re-engage. We talked about, like, after a loss, we've had a loss of identity. So sometimes we need to find some things to reconnect with. And so I think that's important.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good. And I, really love that you mentioned that, that sometimes we can lose our identity. And I know in the beginning half, when we were talking also, you spoke about, you can go from being married to now you're single again. And that, in a sense, is a loss of an identity, or an identity shift, because you're no longer in the role of a spouse, and you're now, single again, having to learn to be single again, and it is a process to go through. I don't know if Brandy wanted to share anything or say anything at this time, but yeah. Yes, we're going to talk on the show.
Yes,
She is. She's throwing me out there. Welcome to everybody that is tuning in, because I see people are coming and going, and we appreciate. We know this is a Saturday. We know it is Valentine's Day weekend.
Yes.
For them that have significant others, you may be already out and about and enjoying their time, but not everyone is enjoying their time on this weekend. So that's why we went ahead and did Well Hades on tonight, because we're talking about the stresses that come after any breakup, whether it's a death, because death is a breakup. That individual is no longer here. And I remember after being married for 18 and a half years and then experiencing my spouse transitioning, I went through several stages of grief. But because of me being so active in exercise, psychologically, it helped me. And so I remember when I was going through preparatory grief, I remember when we went through anticipatory grief, and then I remember when I went through conventional grief. And so each one was different, and each one was a process, and no one ever spoke about the stresses of going through each one of those different types of griefs: preparatory, conventional, or anticipatory. So you can be in grief before the individual is already gone. And so that's something Diana can talk about with a lot of people that is tuning in, because, for instance, I think that was Connie Moore. She was married for 30 years, and then she went through a breakup, which was by death. She lost her spouse. And so I have 18, she said 30. Stop and think about that and the traumatic events that take place psychologically. So that's why we have Diane here at this time to share.
Yes.
So Diane, what would you say to someone that may still be trying to process? She has 30 years 30 years.
She's a young woman.
And she's a young woman. She's not, we know this woman of God, and she is a woman of God, but she has 30 years under her belt that is no longer.
Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. That's the first thing I want to say. And so, you know, when you lose your spouse after 30 years, so much of your life changes. From what I've not lost a spouse, so I don't want to pursue from the clients I work with. So, almost like each time you wake up and okay, am I waking up from a nightmare? No, it's true. Each morning, is this true? Yeah, it wasn't a nightmare. This is my life. So that's getting through, because you had 30 years of having that person. It's become such a part of your life, such a part of your routine, a part of you. Two have become one. And so going through that process, it is, first of all, it's patience with self. It's not being judgmental toward yourself and your own process, accepting and identifying what you need to get through the process. I loved what you said, Randy. I think this is so powerful. And I have a number of clients that I work with that they don't prefer to do medications. I'm really open-minded. If they don't want to do an antidepressant for depression, we can do talk therapy, we can do cognitive behavioral therapy, we can do exercise.
Yes.
Exercise. There's a study that was done in Germany, and they had a control group, and then they had an exercise group and an antidepressant group.
Yeah.
The people, they had about the same outcomes. Yeah. So people doing rigorous exercise, strength training, and cardio 4 to 5 times a week. Yes. You start building up your body. And I think what that does is it produces those and believe me, I am an advocate to use medication as a tool as needed. That's perfectly fine. I'm very supportive of that, but I'm supportive of alternatives as well. So exercise, and that's something our body can generate when we kind of do the healthy thing. We get hydrated, eat good, nutritious food, and get the exercise. It can really boost your mood. It can be really good for you. You can sleep better. You can think more clearly. You get more energy. Then start all at once. So you got to get yourself conditioned. However, I would say that being outside as well. And there's something that allows us to access that the world is bigger than ourselves. I feel like God created us. When we get outside, it definitely, God knows our hearts and loves us and comforts us in our loss and grief. But getting outside regularly, getting some sunshine and some fresh air, and it is so important.
Yes,
that's very healthy, and getting into a regular routine of doing that.
Yes, great points. Great. So when you all keep hearing me saying it's time to work out, let's go, let's get going. And you all were like, if this lady don't stop working out, we just wanted to, just bring some laughter in, because laughter is just like a medicine. And so, laugh out loud, laugh at yourself. You just gotta laugh. Sometimes I laugh at myself. Just go outside, stand, and just start screaming. Look up in the air and just start screaming and start laughing. You can lift some stress. I know it sounds funny, but I'm serious. So if Diana would mind just giving some pointers on how to relieve some of that stress. What's some techniques? Just some techniques that wouldn't cost them. Because some people think everything costs.
Right. So what you just said, and I love this, I think it's great. And a good stress reliever, absolutely. A deep belly laugh. If you think about something humorous, I think about some of the different things that I find humorous. I mean, it is, like one of the best medicines. Laughter, it's good. It's healthy. That gives tears, that gives laughter. There's, a season for all things. So, laughing, and And that's healthy, that's good. Something that, as stress reliever, we were talking about being outside, there's lots of things you can do outside that don't cost.
Yes.
You can just, there's lots of trails,
Yes.
lots of, in the snow, although it's kind of fun to walk in the snow.
It is.
Safe, you got boots on, it's kind of fun to be in the, because it's just got a different feel to it. It's just bundle up. If you're dressed, and stay warm. And so stress management, we kind of break stress management down into a couple different categories.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about stress, we can also think about, talk about thinking styles.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that we think in our mind can add to our stress or help decrease our stress. So shifting from thought distortions to thinking in more balanced, healthy ways. Seeing the whole picture, not just the stressor.
Yes.
So it kind of gets back to, the basic, old adage, is the glass half empty or half full? It's both. But how do I feel when I think my glass is half empty? I'm like, oh, I'm going to run it out. No. If I think it's half full, it's not half. I feel different when I say it's half.
Yes.
So how I perceive it, how I talk to myself about it, how I think about it, that's so stress relief. Often the stressors that we have in our life aren't things that we can change per se. Say that we just had a stressful job and a stressful boss. Thinking about changing that person, maybe we want to look for another job. That's an option. But if we're going to stay and we need to deal with that stress, part of it is our relationship to our own stress. And how are we? Are we coaching ourselves in positive ways? Or are we really feeling bad and thinking, a lot of negative thoughts about that person, and that we can't control?
That's good.
Right, so the serenity prayer, we got to release the things we cannot control.
Yes.
We got to help us know what we can do, and I want to do something different about what I can change my thinking.
Yes.
So I can smile at my boss. I can say thank you. I have to understand my boss is a person too.
Yes.
So I get to choose how I respond.
That's right. That's
That's
good.
so good.
That's good. Go ahead.
No, I thought that was really good. Everything I've heard, how it's really, like you said, that perspective. Are you going to stay? And again, it comes to a choice. I know one of the scriptures we talk about a lot of times is joy. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And I've been known to say, you get to decide when morning comes.
That's it. I like that.
You make the shift in your mind and your decision. Okay, I'm done with grieving over this. I'm done with being, hostage to the situation. And a lot of times, like you said, we have to shift our environment. We have to shift our thinking because, it's always a battlefield. Joyce Meyer says it's a battlefield of the mind, and it truly is. It's what and that's why the scripture tells us over in Paul, where Paul says, think on those things which are pure, those things that are lovely, those things that are just, they're a good report. And he said, think on these things. And we have to, like you said, just reshift our thoughts. I know a lot of times, again, yes, I was married for 5.5 years. It'll be 5 years, February 27th, since my husband passed. So we've got another anniversary. I will celebrate the death anniversary, but I do acknowledge and remember him on that day because he was a part of my life for those 5.5 years, and actually a little bit more than that because we were friends before we had marriage. But here comes Valentine's Day, which is one of my favorite holidays. And one of the things I'm doing for myself, I believe in going out. I may not exercise, I'm sorry. I try, and I'm doing better. I'm getting into exercising and moving around just to even get strength training.
Yes.
Because I used to run track back in high school, so I have more of a slender build, so my body is naturally muscular in some places, so I try not to overdo it. But at the same time, I still believe in treating myself and going out. I still take myself out for Valentine's Day. I still do things to shift my focus. And actually, I have been doing that since high school. So that didn't just start. That's something I've always done for myself. Whether I had a boyfriend or not, I always gifted myself, sent myself flowers. This time I'll be going, I have to tell it, an hour and a half full body massage. Lord Jesus. And it hit me when I started shoveling snow. I said, well, Jesus, this is why I need a husband. By the time I got home and got in the house, I said, Lord, I need an Epsom salt bath and a massage. So that's going to be part of my self-care. And I love that. Meditating on God's Word and loving on yourself is a great one. Sister Connie Moore mentioned as well, too. Prophetess Connie Moore, excuse me, meditating on the scripture. So, yes, Diana, what do you think about some of, even those, like you said about the shift, how do you feel about us, self-dating, or I call it self-dating, or a new date, or
That's cool. I mean, I like the way you're framing it. I mean,
I remember before I got married, so I've been married for 20 years, before I got married, and I remember many Valentine's Day being sad, and, I remember thinking, man, I want flowers. And then I remember before I got married going, I could buy myself flowers. So I like you say self-date, doing something for you. I love that.
Yeah.
Because that's something, again, you can take charge of and do for yourself and enjoy. And that's, that's a shift, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
If I'm waiting for and I'm looking for, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to give myself a massage. I'm going to go take myself I'm going to look nice. I'm going to go have a nice meal. I'm going to do for me. I think that's awesome.
Yes, yes. Yes. You had another question?
I think we have actually exhausted all the questions I have so far, but I can certainly come up with some.
You don't have to ask any questions. If you all have questions at this time, let us go ahead and take them, post them if you have any questions. Now is a great time to post them so that we can address them. You all just go right ahead and post what it is, what you would like us to address. But while we're addressing them, as Jan was stating about enjoying yourself, there's so many different ways that you can enjoy yourself. Some people, when they're going through seasons or chapters or shifting in life, however we label it, you have to find what works for you.
Yes.
So find what works for you, whether it be exercise, whether it be going out to eat, whether it be coloring, painting, things of that nature. Find something that's therapeutic on a holistic note, that's a full spectrum. Not just I'm going to eat and I'm not going to do anything else. Let's balance it out. So, as Jan was saying, that's a great way for them that, I enjoy Valentine's Day. I really do. I like Valentine's Day, but I don't think I've been really focused on it this year due to I have so much going on in life right now. I still have school, I still have work, and a list of all these other titles. So Valentine's Day this year, it really didn't shift in the atmosphere for me, if you understand what I'm saying. This year it really did not. And I think it's been like that for the last few years, because prior to my late spouse passing, there was so much going on in life that sometimes you disconnect. So you disconnect mentally from holidays and different occasions because you're more tuned into the now. How do I cope with the now? And so I'm getting back to reconnecting to different events and holidays and things of that nature. But I never stop working out. I'm just like a workout fanatic. So that gives me life. That really gives me life. So find what gives you life.
Yes.
So, I know it may sound cliche, but no, really, find what gives you life. We won't be before you much longer. Now is the time. If you have questions, follow, share, show some love, send some hearts. And to wrap this up almost, we just wanted to, I think a good question for the rest of them, what pointers would you give someone that's contemplating divorce or separation? And we'll end on that note.
That's good.
Okay. So, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of people do come in seeking, they're seeking, trying to figure it out, and again, I think I mentioned, if a relationship, if the marriage can be repaired, if you are able, if the person is willing, that you're married to, if they're willing to work on the relationship, and do their internal work. So we have to kind of work on ourselves, right? Yeah. So this is a part of a lot of the work that I do. Many times, marriages don't work because the person who's in the marriage, they don't love themselves. So if you don't love yourself, you can't really allow another person to love you or love another person. And that gets out of balance. So and people who don't think very highly of themselves sometimes, they don't want to look at that more deeply. And they're really hard to love because they don't believe in themselves or they don't believe they can be loved. So, I think it's very difficult. So I shy away from using the word advice, giving advice. I tend to try to explore someone, I immediately say with the person, if you're considering divorce, would you be, will they come in? Can we bring them in? Would they come in? And if they'll come in, bring them in right away. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about what do you need from this relationship and what does work? What made you fall in love? Why did you pick this person out of all the people in the world to marry? And most of the people that I work with, we don't get married ever thinking we're going to get divorced. So there's something about that person that we selected to marry them. So I try to go back to that initial, and if that can be rebuilt, if you can reconnect and heal, and that's, we try to go that direction. I have people who their spouse will come in. They're like, they don't believe in counseling, not going to do it. That makes it very difficult then, right? If that person will not come in and say, let's talk about it, let's figure it out, you have to make a decision, and I think it's very difficult. And I try to encourage each person to seek, their work from God in terms around that, as a person of faith, trying to figure out that, if there is abuse or addiction or unfaithfulness, various things that are happening, I just don't believe God. This is hard. You said, well, I hate these, and we're going to talk about it. You said, that's what I want to. I got to say it. I got to say it.
Yeah.
You need to stay in that.
Yeah. Yes.
Repeatedly being betrayed. Repeatedly being hurt. You're repeatedly having to go to the clinic to check to see, because you don't know who, your spouse has been with for, something like that. That is so painful. I've walked that with many people, and you have to kind of seek God, and so again, I think it's an individual thing, and I try to help people understand for themselves where their kind of endpoint is, and kind of help be present to them and help them have the healthiest, best life they can have. And sometimes being with a spouse that won't do that for themselves or don't let themselves, it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work.
It's good. I have to say that was a really, really good point. And I'm so glad that you elaborated on that. I'm glad you asked the question. I'm glad you elaborated on it, because a lot of times, as you know, and I know we have to wrap up here, but a lot of times, especially in the church culture, in African American church culture, that we've always made people feel bad for having a divorce, and they didn't know there was abuse going on. They didn't know there was emotional abuse, physical abuse from pastors, from these people with high titles in the church, because they had a different facade at the church, but they were misusing, and not just the men, even some of the women were abusive to their husbands. But a lot of times we shamed people into staying into marriages. And so I'm so glad that you brought that out, because God never, when we look at the Word of God, He never God says he hates divorce. However, he said he allowed it because of the hardness of the man's heart. He allowed Moses to go ahead and write the decree to add divorce because of the hardness of the men's heart, because they were abusive. They were hurting their spouses. So I think that's so good that you told that, because so many people have lived in guilt and shame and have not remarried because of that stigma, that guilt that we try to crush people with in the church, and that is unfair. So I'm glad that you really brought that out to provide that liberation, because God he called us to peace. He didn't call us to be harmed. So we appreciate that.
That's right. That's right. We're soon to wrap up, though. If you don't remember anything else that was said through this broadcast, remember that Diana stated you have to love yourself. Loving yourself may look different to the next person, but love should not hurt you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, naturally speaking. Love should not hurt you. Love yourself and find out what gives you life. Love yourself. What is giving you life? You should have a peace. There should be a harmony within your home, within your home, within your home, within your home. I mean, we don't want to sound as if, but no, we're so serious. This is real Hades. And right now, somebody is saying real hell because they feel like that's what they're going through.
Yes.
They are not saying real Hades. And we understand. Now, everybody's understanding is different. Our perceptions are different. But I think the key thing that Diana said tonight was we have to love ourselves. We have to love ourselves. We want to thank you for tuning in. We're going to give Diana the last words and just thank you.
Yes.
Would you like to share, Diana?
Well, one of the things about loving yourself, and I talk a fair amount of this, talk about this a fair amount with clients. So, and I certainly can understand this myself. I think I have a wrong understanding that sometimes we can think that means being selfish. Loving yourself does not mean being selfish at all.
Yes.
Because, and especially for women, as a woman, we have learned to look at what everybody else needs first. Okay. And so, so what I see self-love is about is just putting ourselves equal to others, not putting others before us. Just, okay, what do we need? What gives us life? What's important for us? I mean, we are going to take care of the people around us. We've been doing that. But at what cost to us? And I find that all the time. It's like, I certainly don't want to put myself above others. I don't believe that I need to put myself below others. What if I put myself I'm including myself.
Yes.
So I love others, I love myself. So I love myself, I'm lovable. And those I love, I want to share that with them. So I think I want to challenge that concept that self-love is selfish, because I have a lot of folks say, no, that's unselfish. I'm like, no, I think, it's appropriate. I mean, you getting your massage? Everyone tells me they do that. I know it takes. You have to plan the time.
Yes.
For you to do that for you, it's really good to get flowers for yourself. Oh, it's frivolous. We need flowers. They're beautiful. They smell good. God made them.
Yes.
Like, it's fun to have them. It feels good. You're special. It's okay to love yourself.
Yes.
So that's what. The last word is me.
Yes.
Well, Diana, we certainly appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you provided us. It's just been a wealth of knowledge, and I am grateful for the relationship that we have personally. It's been a pleasure knowing you and working alongside with you. If you could, I know you're probably pretty full with clients, but if you have any resources, maybe anyone who wants to reach out to anyone, would you like to share that information?
Sure. Should I type it in
I can. Take a look here.
Yes.
I can definitely add that for you.
She's adding it now for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do virtual sessions, and I do I can do virtual sessions for anyone who needs that. And then I also do in-person sessions. My office is at 71st and Shadeland. at Castleton United Methodist Church. And I'm a provider on most insurance plans. And yeah, I am a bit booked up. However, when someone comes through a personal contact, I always try to be, and with this program, I'd be especially mindful and tuned into people coming through while Hades. Definitely reach out. I'm gonna respond for sure to try to be of assistance. Because I think it's really wonderful what you ladies are doing and what you're trying to do. Oh yeah, and so you can give
Address, phone
Sure,
number.
absolutely.
Let's go ahead and display that too.
Right.
Yes. And while she's putting that in the display, how long have you been in practice, Diana?
So I've been in practice for over 25 years. I see individuals, couples. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, licensed mental health counselor. I specialize in working with people with adjustment disorders, depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder,
Yes.
panic disorder. I use mindfulness a lot. I was a mindfulness instructor for many, many years at Methodist Hospital. Yeah, I've been doing outpatient counseling for quite some time.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, Jan is entering the information for you. Sorry.
516 or 519 0634.
Excellent. Thank you.
Here's the phone number. At this time, if you could go ahead and jot that phone number down, that is Diana Singleton, 317-519-0634. We will repeat as we're going off the air, 317-519-0634. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Hades, we'll see you next time. Have a great night.